Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the woman who is in the Democratic Party and has been elected, who stands against capitalism while advocating for an alternative which is also capitalism. This idea of democratic socialism, which is social democracy, which is what Western Europe has, which is still capitalism. Now, she recently gave a speech at the SWSX whatever thing, and in answering the questions, she kind of revealed that she doesn't even know what capitalism actually is or how it even works. Let's let this first clip explain.
But for me, when I think about what those definitions are, capitalism to me, it's an ideology of capital. It puts capital, the most important thing is the concentration of capital, and it means that we seek and prioritize profit and the accumulation of money above all else, and we seek it at any human and environmental cost.
Okay, now on the surface, this would seem like an accurate description of capitalism. Then why are you running in a capitalist party to advocate something that doesn't abolish capitalism? So she's kind of exactly contradicting herself by going with social democracy, which is an attempt to redeem capitalism by putting a human face on it. So she is blatantly contradicting herself, and so either she's lying or she doesn't know what she's talking about, and I frankly don't think she's a liar. I think she really believes what she's saying. But the interesting part is that she then turned around and said that, or essentially gave the idea that not all parts of capitalism should be abandoned. So according to her, it's irredeemable, but it's also something that shouldn't be gotten rid of.
But when we talk about ideas, for example, like democratic socialism, it means putting democracy and society first instead of capital first. It doesn't mean that you put other things last. It doesn't mean that the actual concept of capital as a society should be abolished or anything like that. But it's a question of our priorities.
So essentially, she wants to get rid of capitalism without getting rid of capital. What do you think makes up capitalism? Capital. Now, here's the problem. This is what Marx laid down. Capital has a logic all of its own, the way it functions. There's a quote-unquote natural laws to the way it accumulates, concentrates, creates inequality, etc. Now, if you're bemoaning inequality, but you also support the continued existence of capital, what are you doing? From this, we can tell that she doesn't even know how capital works. I mean, this is supposed to be someone who's so well educated and, a recent graduate and all this. She doesn't know anything. All she knows is just simple, easy social democratic reforms and thinks they're capital and thinks that they're socialism. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, who do you think wields power in capitalism to begin with?
So what does that mean? It means the rejection outright of the logic that says someone else's gain necessitates my loss, and that my gain must necessitate someone else's loss, that my gain must come at the cost of another person. We are increasing our capacities for productivity, and so we can give without a take, is where we're going through technologically.
Exactly how does she think exploitation works? You do have to take from one in order to give to another. That is how inequality works. That's kind of the definition of inequality in a roundabout way. There is a rich because there is a poor. The capitalist takes from the worker. That's the point of capitalism. So it is already a system of taking from one person and giving to another. That is capitalism. That's what a private ownership of the means of production is. An individual, a private capitalist, takes that wealth that is generated by the worker and makes it for themselves. So when you talk about a redistribution of wealth in society, you are about taking one from the other, and that should be done. The wealth that is generated by the worker should not go to the capitalist. It should go to the workers. What do you think? How does she think that's going to be redistributed by, if you're not taking from one person to give to another? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. She's giving these bumper sticker kind of statements that people like, but they're ideologically inconsistent because she's not putting forward a theoretical stance. She's just putting forward platitudes that people like because she's a politician trying to remain in power and build public support for her own career and the slush fund that she created to steal from those same people. But finally, she doesn't seem to understand one of the most basic fundamental concepts of capitalism.
Just as there's all of this fear-mongering that government is going to take over every corporation and government is going to take over every business or every form of production, we should be scared right now because corporations have taken over our government. And in my opinion, we should be wary of any entity in which both of those things are combined, whether it's through one way or the other.
What do you mean corporations have taken over the democratic aspect of capitalism? That's how it always was. Corporations, also known as the capitalist class, because a corporation is an inanimate object. It's the people who run corporations, who own capital, who own society. So what is this talking about, how corporations just suddenly took over? The capitalists always wielded power. The capitalists have power in capitalism. Exactly how did she think that worked? Did she think at one time the country was actually a democracy? The United States was founded by slave owners and guys who were the burgeoning bourgeoisie who were just coming into existence. They were capitalists too. And literally when they wrote the Constitution, all men are created equal, they meant wealthy white landowners. But specifically, landowners. People who were capitalists. So what is she even talking about? She doesn't even know she doesn't know anything. Here's my problem with this. She's the poster woman for anti-capitalism when she doesn't know what capitalism is. She doesn't know how capitalism works. And she's arguing for a position that defends capital and keeps it. This is the first worldist trap. Don't worry, we're going to give you all the free stuff that you want, but you won't have to actually do anything. You won't have to do a revolution that you already don't want to do anyway. Yes, I know you and your circle of friends on Facebook want to carry out a violent revolution. Allegedly. But even if you did, the masses of the American people don't want to. And this is something that a lot of first worldists don't understand because they live in bloody online echo chambers. And this is where AOC comes in. Give you all the promises, all the good stuff that you want, without having to overthrow capitalism. I mean, Lenin already went through all of this in the Second International. And I would be literally repeating everything he already said. And that's not necessary. You can go read it for yourself. You don't need me to tell you. So this is what I mean when I say Americans don't know what socialism is. They literally don't. They think this nonsense is. They think China is socialism. That thing where millionaires and billionaires are socialism for some reason. Negating the very concept of class struggle and inequality. But then again, to be perfectly honest, in my own personal opinion, I really don't expect any better of Americans.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.